The Expendables is a 2010 American action film directed by Sylvester Stallone, who co-wrote it with David Callaham and also starred in the lead role. The film co-stars an ensemble cast of mostly action film actors consisting of Jason Statham, Jet Li, Dolph Lundgren, Randy Couture, Terry Crews, Steve Austin, Mickey Rourke, and Bruce Willis. The film was released in the United States on August 13, 2010. It is the first installment in the Expendables film series. This was Dolph Lundgren's first theatrically released film since 1995's cyberpunk film Johnny Mnemonic. The film is about a team of elite mercenaries tasked with a mission to overthrow a Latin American dictator whom they soon discover to be a mere puppet controlled by a corrupt ex-CIA agent. It pays tribute to the blockbuster action films of the late 1980s and early 1990s. It was distributed by Lionsgate. The Expendables received mixed reviews with praise towards the action sequences and cast performances. It was commercially successful, opening at number 1 at the box office in the United States, 2 the United Kingdom, 4 China, 5 and India, 6 and grossed a total of $274 million worldwide. The film spawned the sequels The Expendables 2, 2012, The Expendables 3, 2014, and Expend4+, 2023. Plot: an elite group of mercenaries named the Expendables, who are based in New Orleans, deploys to the Gulf of Aden to save hostages on a vessel from Somali pirates. The team consists of leader Barney Ross, blade specialist Lee Christmas, martial artist Yin Yang, military veteran Gunnar Jensen, weapons specialist Hale Caesar, and demolitions expert Toll Road. Gunnar instigates a firefight, causing casualties for the pirates. He then tries to hang a pirate, but Yang stops him when Barney and the team discourage the idea. Barney reluctantly discharges him from the team. Later, Christmas is upset to discover his girlfriend Lacey has left him for another man. Barney and rival Trench Mauser visit Mr. Church for a mission. Trench passes the contract to Barney, which is to overthrow dictator General Garza in Vilna, an island in the Gulf of Mexico. Barney and Christmas fly to Vilna for undercover reconnaissance and meet their contact, Sandra, but are discovered. It is revealed that ex-CIA officer James Monroe is keeping Garza in power as a figurehead for his own profiteering operations, while Sandra is revealed to be Garza's daughter. Barney aborts, but Sandra refuses to leave Vilna. Meanwhile, Gunnar approaches Monroe to help and Garza is angered further when Sandra is waterboarded for information by Monroe. Meanwhile, Lacey has been physically abused by her new man, so Christmas beats him and his friends, revealing what he does for a living. Barney and the group discover that Church is a CIA operative and the real target is Monroe, who has gone rogue and joined forces with Garza to keep the drug money that funds the CIA to himself, but the CIA cannot afford a mission to kill one of their own directly because of bad publicity. Barney meets tattoo expert and friend Tool to express his feelings. Tool makes a confession about letting a woman commit suicide instead of saving her. Barney is then motivated to go back for Sandra alone, but Yang accompanies him. Gunnar and hired men pursue them on the road, ending in an abandoned warehouse, where Yang and Gunnar fight a second time. Barney shoots Gunnar when he attempts to impale Yang on a pipe. Gunnar makes amends and gives the layout of Garza's palace. Barney boards the plane with Yang and finds the rest of the team waiting, and they infiltrate Garza's compound. Thinking Monroe hired the team to kill him, Garza has his soldiers' faces painted, preparing them for a fight. The team plants explosives throughout the site, but Barney, while saving Sandra, is captured by Monroe's henchmen. The team saves him and kills the Brit, but is pinned down by Garza's men as Payne wrestles Barney. Caesar fights back and Payne escapes. Garza finally stands up to Monroe, ordering him out and returning his money. Instead, as Garza rallies his men against the Americans, Monroe kills him and escapes with Payne and Sandra. Garza's men open fire against the team, who fight their way through, detonating the explosives and destroying the compound. Toll kills Payne by burning him alive, while Barney and Caesar manage to destroy the helicopter before Monroe can escape. Barney and Christmas catch up to Monroe, where they save Sandra and kill Monroe. Later, Barney donates his mission reward for Sandra to restore Vilna. The team has returned home and are celebrating at Toole's tattoo parlor with the recovering and now redeemed Gunner. Christmas and Toole play a game of knife throwing during which Christmas composes a mocking poem about Toole and throws a bullseye from outside the building. Cast. See also, list of characters from the Expendables film series. Cruise, Austin, Stallone, Lundgren, and Couture promoting the Expendables at the 2010 San Diego Comic-Con. Sylvester Stallone as Barney Ross. Jason Statham as Lee Christmas. Jet Li as Yin Yang. Dolph Lundgren as Gunnar Jensen. Randy Couture as Toll Road. David Zayas as General Garza. Giselle Itié as Sandra. Charisma Carpenter as Lacey. Gary Daniels as the Brit. Terry Crews as Hail Caesar. Mickey Rourke as Toole. Bruce Willis as Mr. Church 7. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Trench Mauser, uncredited cameo, 7. Steve Austin as Payne. Eric Roberts as James Monroe. Production. Development. In mid-2005, writer David Callaham submitted the first draft of a mercenary-inspired action film titled Barrow to Warner Brothers, as part of his blind commitment deal with the studio at the time. Callaham revised the script 2 more times and submitted his third final revision in early 2006. Having expressed interest in doing an ensemble film, Sylvester Stallone reviewed Callaham's third/final revised draft of Barrow and used it as a starting point for The Expendables. 8. Casting. Jean-Claude Van Damme was personally offered a role by Stallone, but turned it down because he felt there was no substance or development to the character. 9. Stallone said that Van Damme told him that he should be trying to save people in South Central. 10. At the premiere of the film, Stallone claimed to have been speaking to Van Damme over the phone and had said, "I told you," to which Van Damme concurred and expressed his regret over not participating. 11. Van Damme would later appear as the main antagonist, Jean Villain, in the film sequel. The role of Hail Caesar was initially conceived as a role for Stallone's Demolition Man co-star Wesley Snipes. Snipes turned down the role because of his tax issues, and not able to leave the United States without the court's approval. It was later rewritten for Forrest Whitaker. 12. Due to a scheduling conflict prior to filming, Whitaker was replaced by 50 Cent. 13. Before the part of Hail Caesar finally went to former NFL player Terry Crews. 14. Snipes and 50 Cent would star in the third and fourth movies in the series respectively. Steven Seagal was asked to make a cameo appearance, but turned down the offer due to negative experiences with producer Avi Lerner. 15. Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Ben Kingsley, and Ray Liotta were all considered for the role of James Monroe before Stallone's The Specialist co-star Eric Roberts was eventually cast in the role. By May 2009, the script had undergone a number of rewrites. Stallone's Demolition Man co-star Sandra Bullock was rumored to have a role in the film, but revealed that she did not even know about the project. Despite the news, she did express interest in working in another action film and would have liked to appear in the film, depending on the storyline. 16. The role of the man who hires the Expendables, Mr. Church, was difficult to cast. Schwarzenegger was offered that role, but instead appeared as fellow mercenary leader Trench. The role was then offered to Stallone's Tango and Cash co-star Kurt Russell, whose agent replied that he was not interested in ensemble acting at the moment. 17. Stallone spent several months after principal photography determined to find a big action name for the part. Rumors suggested that the role had been offered to friend and fellow former Planet Hollywood co-owner Bruce Willis, who was busy filming Cop Out. Willis' casting as Mr. Church was confirmed by August 2009, as was that he would appear in a scene with both Stallone and Schwarzenegger. 7. To cast the soldiers, Stallone knew his filming location, Brazil, was home to many mixed martial arts fighters. He called Ultimate Fighting Championship champions Anderson Silva and brothers Rodrigo and Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira to make casting calls, and had the 3 cameo as well. 18. Filming. Film production began on March 3, 2009, with a budget of $82 million. 19. Principal photography commenced 25 days later in Rio de Janeiro and other locations in Brazil, including Mangaratiba, Niterói, Guanabara, Colonia Juliano Moreira and Parque Lage. Filming originally ended on April 25 but was continued on May 11, in Elmwood and New Orleans, Louisiana, including the French Quarter, South Peters Street, Fort Macomb, Claiborne Avenue, and the Interstate 10 overpass. Filming officially ended on July 1, but on October 27 there was a pickup scene at a church in Los Angeles, California featuring Stallone, Schwarzenegger, and Willis, the latter two doing the scene without compensation, according to Stallone in the Blu-ray disc director commentary. On June 2, West Coast Customs Street Customs built 3 customized 1955 Ford F-100s for Sylvester Stallone for the film. One was built for a crash scene, the second for green screen, and the third for Stallone to keep. The Expendables has a $70 million budget. Stallone's Rocky IV co-star Dolph Lundgren says, "It's an old-school, kick-ass action movie where people are fighting with knives and shooting at each other." 20. The flying boat used for filming is a Grumman Tu-16 Albatross, and the ship used as a setting in the opening scene was a Russian SA-15 type Arctic cargo ship Igarka. In summer 2010, Brazilian company O2 Filmace released a statement saying it was still owed more than $2 million for its work on the film. 21. Music. Main article, The Expendables, soundtrack. Composer Brian Tyler announced on his official website that he had been hired to write original music for the film. 22. Tyler previously worked with Stallone on Rambo in 2008. Godsmack vocalist Sully Erna was approached by Stallone himself to write a song for the film. Erna showed him a potential unfinished piece of Sinner's Prayer. Stallone liked it and wanted to use it in the film. However, during the film's post-production, the scene that Sinner's Prayer was originally meant to be used in was reworked and the song was taken off the film and its soundtrack. The American hard rock band Shinedown contributed a brand new track, Diamond Eyes, Boom Lay Boom, recorded specifically for the film, but the song does not appear in the film nor its official soundtrack. The song was used in the theatrical trailer and the finished piece was released on June 15, 2010. Both songs were finally used for the extended director's cut. 23. One of the alternate trailers uses the song Paradise City by Guns N' Roses. 24. The song The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy, live version featured on Still Dangerous, played in TV spots and is played over the credits. 25. The score for the film was released on August 10th. The track lists have been revealed. 26. Release. Theatrical. The film had an original scheduled release date set at April 23, 2010, but was later pushed back 4 months until August 13, to extend production time. 27. On March 17, 2010, the official international poster for the film was released. 28. A promo trailer, aimed at industry professionals, was leaked online in August 2009. 29:30 Sometime in October, nearly 2 months after the promo trailer was leaked, it was officially released online. The promo trailer was edited by Stallone and it was shown at the Venice Film Festival. On April 1, 2010, the official theatrical trailer for the film was released. The film had its red carpet Hollywood premiere on August 3, 2010. The grand premiere of the film was held at the Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino on the Las Vegas Strip in Paradise, Nevada on August 10, 2010. Home media. The theatrical cut of The Expendables was released on DVD/Blu-ray disc on November 23, 2010. The Blu-ray disc is a 3-disc combo pack. 31. An extended director's cut of the film was meant to be out for an early 2011 DVD/Blu-ray disc release, but was first released on cable television instead. The extended director's cut was released on Blu-ray disc on December 13, 2011. 3233 A 90-minute documentary called Inferno, The Making of the Expendables was released exclusively to the theatrical cut's Blu-ray release. Extended Director's Cut. The extended director's cut premiered on Epix on May 30, 2011, for the Memorial Day weekend. 34 The extended cut contains roughly 11 minutes of additional footage and reintroduces the Shinedown song Diamond Eyes to the soundtrack, both during the climactic shootout and again over the end credits, and the song Sinner's Prayer by Sully Erna in the new opening credits. Reception. Box office. The film made its US debut at 3,270 theaters with approximately 4,300 screens, which earned it the number 10 spot on the list of the biggest independent releases of all time at Box Office Mojo 35 and the number 16 spot on their list of top opening weekends for August 36. It earned $34.8 million in its opening weekend and took the number 1 position in the US box office. 37 On the day of its release, the film earned $13.3 million in sales, exceeding the $9.7 million sum from the debut of the last previous summer action film The A-Team. 38. Brandon Gray of Box Office Mojo stated that the film took a commanding lead in its debut, compared to competing films Eat, Pray, Love and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. 38 Ben Fritz of the Los Angeles Times stated that the over-the-top shoot 'em up opened to a very strong reception. As well, he described it as a crowd pleaser even if critics didn't take to it. 3. Research by Lionsgate found that between 38% and 40% of the film's viewers were female. The results were unexpected, for a film thought to have limited appeal to female filmgoers. 339. The Expendables remained at the top position in the US box office during its second weekend, earning a weekend total of nearly $17 million. 40. The film went on to gross $103.1 million in the United States, and $171.4 million in other territories, for a worldwide gross to $274.5 million. 241. Critical response. On review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 42% based on 210 reviews and an average rating of 5.3/10. The site's critical consensus reads, "It makes good on the old-school action it promises, but given all the talent on display, The Expendables should hit harder." 42. On Metacritic, which assigns a normalized rating to reviews, the film has a mean score of 45 out of 100 based on 35 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. 43 On CinemaScore polls, audiences gave the film an average grade of B+ on an A+ to F scale. 44. Some reviews praised the film highly. The Hollywood Reporter stated that the body count is high and the personalities click in this old-school testosterone fest. 45 And Box Office Magazine stated that it's filled with literally explosive excitement and that a who's who of classic action stars light up the screen for pure combustible entertainment in Sly Stallone's The Expendables, a sort of Dirty Dozen meets Inglourious Bastard and then some. 46. Richard Corliss of Time added that what you will find is both familiar in its contours and unique in its casting. 47. Peter Parras of E! Online said that the film is peppered with funny dialogue, epic brawls, and supersize explosions, and that The Expendables is the adrenaline shot the summer of 2010 needs. 48 And the Boston Globe stated that the film is a lot of unholy fun. 49 Empire's Genevieve Harrison gave the film a 3/5 stars rating and remarked, "More the wild geese than the wild bunch, The Expendables is not a wasted opportunity, but more one not fully exploited." For action fans raised on Commando and Cobra, the ensemble cast and 80s style violence will be pure wish fulfillment, but even they could have wished for something better. 50. Some highly negative reviews appeared. In The New Yorker, Anthony Lane called it breathtakingly sleazy in its lack of imagination. 51 Peter Travers, writing for Rolling Stone, said, "Stallone forgets to include non-spazzy direction, a coherent plot, dialogue that actors can speak without cringing, stunts that don't fizzle, blood that isn't digital, and an animating spirit that might convince us to give a damn. 52. Claudia Puig, writing the review for USA Today, summed the film up as a sadistic mess of a movie. 53. Rourke's performance was given special recognition by some critics. In the Chicago Tribune, Michael Phillips said, "Rourke delivers a monologue about his time in Bosnia, and the conviction the actor brings to the occasion throws the movie completely out of whack. What's actual acting doing in a movie like this?" 54. Mick LaSalle of the San Francisco Chronicle praised Rourke for the same scene, stating, "He's amazing, a great actor." Sylvester Gardenzio Sly Stallone, /Stallone/ born July 6, 1946, is an American actor and filmmaker. In a film career spanning more than 50 years, Stallone has received numerous accolades, including a Golden Globe Award and a Critics' Choice Award, as well as nominations for 3 Academy Awards and 2 BAFTA Awards. Stallone is one of only 2 actors in history, alongside Harrison Ford, to have starred in a box office #1 film across 6 consecutive decades. 2 films in which he has appeared have grossed over $7.5 billion worldwide. 3. Struggling as an actor for a number of years upon moving to New York City in 1969, Stallone found gradual work in films such as The Lords of Flatbush, 1974. He achieved his greatest critical and commercial success starting in 1976 with his iconic role as boxer Rocky Balboa in the first film of the successful Rocky franchise, which he also wrote. In 1977, he became the 3rd actor in history to be nominated for 2 Academy Awards for Best Original Screenplay and Best Actor. He portrayed the PTSD-plagued soldier John Rambo in First Blood, 1982, a role he would play across 5 Rambo films, 1982 to 2019. He received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1984. From the mid-1980s to the late 1990s, Stallone would go on to become one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors, acting in action films such as Cobra, 1986, Tango and Cash, 1989, Cliffhanger, 1993, Demolition Man, 1993, and The Specialist, 1994. At the height of his career, Stallone was known for his rivalry with Arnold Schwarzenegger. 5. Stallone continued his established roles in Rocky Balboa, 2006, and Rambo, 2008, before launching the Expendables film franchise, 2010, present, in which he starred as the mercenary Barney Ross. In 2013, he starred in the successful film Escape Plan and appeared in its sequels. In 2015, he returned to Rocky again with Creed, in which a retired Rocky mentors former rival Apollo Creed's son Donnie Creed. The film brought Stallone widespread praise and his first Golden Globe Award, as well as a 3rd Academy Award nomination, having been first nominated for the same role 40 years prior. He also starred in the sequel Creed II, 2018, and portrayed Staker Ogard in the Marvel Cinematic Universe films Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, 2017, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, 2023. Regarded as an icon of action cinema, Stallone is credited with helping redefine the Hollywood action hero. 6-7-8 He has occasionally ventured from the action genre, with mixed results. He starred in the comedies Oscar, 1991, and Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot, 1992, both of which had modest success. He also starred in the 1997 drama Copland, for which he temporarily shed his sculpted physique and gained weight for his role as a powerless sheriff. In television, he has starred in the Paramount Plus crime series Tulsa King, 2022, present. In addition to his film work, Stallone is a noted art collector and painter, and has written books on fitness, early life and education. Sylvester Gardenzio Stallone 9-10-11 was born in the Hell's Kitchen neighborhood of New York City's Manhattan Borough 12 on July 6, 1946-13 The elder son of celebrity astrologer and women's professional wrestling promoter Jackie Stallone, née Lavofish, 1921-2020, and hairdresser Francesco Frank Stallone Sr. 1919-2011, 14-15 who opened up and run a group of hair salons in Maryland and was an avid polo player. 14-16 His mother was an American from Washington, D.C., with Breton French 17 and Ukrainian Jewish ancestry 18-19-20 while his father was an Italian immigrant from Gioia del Colle 15 who moved to the U.S. in the 1930s. 21-22 His younger brother is actor and musician Frank Stallone. 15 Many biographies of Stallone indicate that his birth name is Michael Sylvester Gardenzio Stallone and his mother explained in an interview that she originally named him Tyrone because she admired the actor Tyrone Power, but Stallone's father changed it to Sylvester. His nickname as a child was Binky but he chose to go by the nickname of Mike/Michael after schoolmates began calling him Stinky. 9-10-11 His middle name Gardenzio is an alteration of the Italian given name Gaudenzio and he usually shortened it to Enzio. 23. Complications during Stallone's birth forced his mother's obstetricians to use 2 pairs of forceps while delivering him, accidentally severing a nerve in the process. 24-25 This caused paralysis of the lower left side of his face, including parts of his lip, tongue, and chin, which gave him his signature snarling look and slurred speech. 25-26 As a result, he was bullied in his childhood, with which he coped by getting into bodybuilding and acting. 27 A guidance counselor once told Stallone's mother, "Your son is suited to run a sorting machine or to be an assistant electrician, primarily in the area of elevator operations." Nevertheless, Sylvester aspired to be an actor and a screenwriter. 28. Stallone spent part of his infancy in foster and boarding care, rejoining and moving back with his family to Maryland when he was 5. In the early 1950s, his father moved the family to his mother's native Washington, D.C. to open a beauty school. In 1954, his mother opened a women's gym called Barbella's. 29-30 He initially stayed with his father following his parents' divorce when he was 11, but joined his remarried mother in Philadelphia when he was 15. 31. At one point, Stallone was voted most likely to end up in the electric chair in high school. 32 Nevertheless, Stallone attended Notre Dame Academy and Abraham Lincoln High School in Philadelphia. 33 and Charlotte Hall Military Academy in Charlotte Hall, Maryland, prior to attending Miami-Dade College. 34 He spent 2 years, from September 1965 to June 1967, at the American College of Switzerland. He returned to the United States to study as a drama major at the University of Miami, from 1967 to 1969, but did not graduate. 35 decades later, after Stallone's request that his acting and life experiences be accepted in exchange for his remaining needed college credits to graduate, he was granted a Bachelor of Fine Arts, BFA, degree by the University of Miami in 1998. 36-37. Film and stage career. 1968 to 1976, early roles to breakthrough. Stallone as Rocky Balboa with Adrian, Talia Shire, in Rocky, 1976. Until 1969, he appeared on the stage under the name Mike Stallone. In 1970, he started using the stage name Sylvester E. Stallone. While attending the University of Miami, Stallone had a role in the drama That Nice Boy, aka The Square Root, filmed in 1968. 38-39-40 Moreover, he and John Hertzfeld worked together in 1969 on a low-budget self-produced film called Horses. 41. Stallone had his first starring role in the softcore pornography feature film The Party at Kitty and Studs, 1970. He was paid $200 for 2 days' work. 42 Stallone later explained that he had done the film out of desperation after being evicted from his apartment and finding himself homeless for several days. He has also said that he slept 3 weeks in the Port Authority bus terminal in New York City prior to seeing a casting notice for the film. In the actor's words, it was either do that movie or rob someone, because I was at the end, the very end, of my rope. 43. The film was released several years later as Italian Stallion. In order to cash in on Stallone's newfound fame, the new title was taken from Stallone's nickname since Rocky. Stallone also starred in the erotic off-Broadway stage play Score, which ran for 23 performances at the Martinique Theatre from October 28 to November 15, 1971, and was later made into the 1974 film Score by Radley Metzger. 44. After moving to New York City, Stallone shared an apartment with his girlfriend, Sasha Zak, an aspiring actress who supported them by working as a waitress. 45. Stallone took odd jobs around this time, including being a cleaner at a zoo, and a theater usher. He was fired from the latter for scalping tickets. He furthered his writing skills by frequenting a local library, and became interested in the works of Edgar Allan Poe. 46. In 1972, Stallone was on the verge of giving up on having an acting career. In what he later described as a low point, he tried and failed to get a job as an extra in The Godfather. 47. 48. Instead, he was relegated to a background role in another Hollywood hit, What's Up, Doc?, starring Barbra Streisand. Stallone is hardly visible in his two appearances. Stallone happened to be acting in a play that a friend invited him to partake in, and an agent in attendance thought that Stallone fit the role of Stanley, a main character in The Lords of Flatbush, which had a start-stop schedule from 1972 to 1974 over budget issues. 49. Stallone, around mid-1973, achieved his first proper starring role, in the independent film No Place to Hide, playing a man who is associated with a New York-based urban terrorist movement, with a jewelry seller as his love interest. The film was recut and retitled Rebel years later, this second version featuring Stallone as its star. In 1990, this film was re-edited with outtakes from the original film and newly shot matching footage, then redubbed, in the style of Woody Allen's What's Up, Tiger Lily?, into a parody of itself titled A Man Called Rainbow. Stallone's other first few film roles were minor, and included brief uncredited appearances in MAS*H, 1970, as a soldier sitting at a table, Pigeons, 1970, as a party guest, Woody Allen's Bananas, 1971, as a subway thug, in the psychological thriller Clued, 1971, as an extra dancing in a club, and in the Jack Lemmon film The Prisoner of Second Avenue, 1975, as a youth. In the latter film, Jack Lemmon's character chases, tackles, and mugs Stallone, thinking that Stallone's character is a pickpocket. He had his second starring role in 1974, in The Lords of Flatbush. 25. In 1975, he played supporting roles in Farewell, My Lovely, Capone, and Death Race 2000. He made guest appearances on the TV series Police Story and Kojak. He is also supposedly in Mandingo. It is often said that his scene was deleted. 50. Stallone gained worldwide fame with his starring role in the smash hit Rocky, 1976, a sports drama about a struggling boxer, Rocky Balboa, taking on heavyweight champion Apollo Creed. 25. On March 24, 1975, Stallone saw the Muhammad Ali vs. Chuck Wenner fight. That night Stallone went home, and after 3 days he had completed the first draft of Rocky. 51. Stallone subsequently denied that Wenner provided any inspiration for the script. However, Wenner filed a lawsuit which was eventually settled with Stallone for an undisclosed amount. 52. 53 other possible inspirations for the film may have included Rocky Graziano's autobiography Somebody Up There Likes Me, and the film of the same name. Stallone attempted to sell the script to multiple studios, with the intention of playing the lead role himself. Irwin Winkler and Robert Chartoff became interested and offered Stallone $350,000 for the rights, but they had their own casting ideas for the lead role, including Robert Redford and Burt Reynolds. Stallone refused to sell unless he played the lead character, and, eventually, After a substantial budget cut to compromise, it was agreed he could be the star. 54 Upon its release, critic Roger Ebert stated that Stallone could become the next Marlon Brando. In 1977, at the 49th Academy Awards, Rocky was nominated for 10 Oscars, including Best Actor and Best Original Screenplay nominations for Stallone. The film went on to win the Academy Awards for Best Picture, Best Directing, and Best Film Editing. Rocky has since been inducted into the National Film Registry and had its props placed in the Smithsonian Museum. Stallone's use of the front entrance to the Philadelphia Museum of Art in the Rocky series led the area to be nicknamed the Rocky Steps, and the city has a statue of the Rocky character placed permanently near the museum. The character was also voted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. 1978 to 1989, subsequent success. Stallone at the Ken Norton vs. Dwayne Bobby boxing match in 1977. Stallone made his directorial debut and starred in the 1978 film Paradise Alley, a family drama in which he played one of three brothers who get involved in professional wrestling. That same year, he starred in Norman Jewison's Fist, a social drama in which he plays a warehouse worker, very loosely modeled on James Hoffa, who becomes involved in labor union leadership. In 1979, he wrote, directed, replacing John G. Avildsen, and starred in Rocky II. The sequel became a major success, 25 grossing $200 million. In 1981, he starred alongside Michael Caine and soccer star Pelé in Escape to Victory, a sports drama in which he plays a prisoner of war involved in a Nazi propaganda soccer game. That same year, he starred in the thriller Nighthawks, in which he plays a New York City cop who plays a cat-and-mouse game with a foreign terrorist, played by Rutger Hauer. In 1982, Stallone starred as Vietnam veteran John Rambo, a former Green Beret, in the action film First Blood 25, an adaptation of the eponymous novel by David Morrell, though the script was significantly altered by Stallone during the film's production. 55, which was both a critical and box office success. Critics praised Stallone's performance, saying he made Rambo seem human, as opposed to the way he is portrayed in the book of the same name. It launched the Rambo franchise. That year Rocky III was released, in which Stallone wrote, directed, and starred. The second sequel became a box office success. In preparation for these roles, Stallone embarked upon a vigorous training regimen, which often meant 6 days a week in the gym and further sit UPS in the evenings. Stallone claims to have reduced his body fat percentage to his all-time low of 2.8% for Rocky III. 56. In 1983, he directed Staying Alive, the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, starring John Travolta. This was the only film Stallone directed that he did not star in. Staying Alive was universally panned by film critics. 57. Despite being a critical failure, Staying Alive was a commercial success. The film opened with the biggest weekend for a musical film ever, at the time, with a gross of $12,146,143 from 1,660 screens. 58-59 overall, the film grossed nearly $65 million in the US box office against its $22 million budget. Worldwide it grossed $127 million. 60. Though the US box office intake was significantly less than the $139.50 million 61 earned by Saturday Night Fever, the film nevertheless ranked in the top 10 most financially successful films of 1983. During the 1980s, Stallone was considered one of the biggest action film stars in the world. 62. Along with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Schwarzenegger-Stallone rivalry continued for years. 63. They attacked each other in the press, and tried to surpass the other with more on-screen killings and larger weapons. 62. Stallone occasionally attempted, albeit unsuccessfully, roles in different genres. In 1984, he co-wrote and starred alongside Dolly Parton in the comedy film Rhinestone, where he played a wannabe country music singer. For the Rhinestone soundtrack, he performed a song. Stallone turned down the lead male role in Romancing the Stone in order to make Rhinestone instead, a decision he later regretted. 64. In 1985, Stallone continued his success with the Rocky and Rambo franchises with Rocky IV and Rambo, First Blood Part 2. Stallone has portrayed these two characters in a total of 13 films. Stallone met former Mr. Olympia Franco Columbu to develop his character's appearance for the film Rocky IV, just as if he were preparing for the Mr. Olympia competition. That meant 2 workouts a day, 6 days a week. 65. Both films were major financial successes. Stallone as John Rambo in Rambo 3, 1988. It was around 1985 that Stallone was signed to a remake of the 1939 James Cagney classic Angels with Dirty Faces. The film would form part of his multi-picture deal with Cannon Films and was to co-star Christopher Reeve and be directed by Menahem Golan. The remaking of such a beloved classic was met with disapproval by Variety and horror by top critic Roger Ebert. Cannon opted to make the action film Cobra, which was released in 1986 and became a box office success. It led to the setting up of his production company White Eagle Enterprises. 66. In 1987, he starred in the family drama Over the Top as a struggling trucker who tries to make amends with his estranged son and enters an arm wrestling competition. This was poorly received by critics and was a box office failure. 67. In 1989, he co-starred alongside Kurt Russell in the buddy cop action film Tango and Cash, which did solid business domestically and overseas, grossing $57 million in foreign markets and over $120 million worldwide. 68. Stallone became a boxing promoter in the 1980s. His boxing promoting company, Tiger Eye Productions, signed world champion boxers Sean O'Grady and Aaron Pryor. 69. 1990 to 1999, career fluctuations. Stallone began the 1990s starring in the 5th installment of the Rocky franchise, Rocky V. This film brought back the first film's director, John G. Avildsen, and was intended to be the final installment in the series. It was considered a box office disappointment and received negative reviews. 70. Stallone next appeared in John Landis' period comedy Oscar, which was both a critical and box office failure. 71. In 1992, he appeared in Roger Spottiswoodi's action comedy Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot. 72, which was also both a critical and box office disaster. Stallone signed onto the film based on rumors that Schwarzenegger was interested in the lead. Schwarzenegger said that, knowing the script's quality was poor, he publicly faked interest in starring for producers to lure Stallone. 62. In 1993, he made a comeback with Rennie Harlin's action thriller Cliffhanger. 73, which was a success in the US, grossing $84 million and worldwide, grossing $171 million. 74. Later that year, he starred in the futuristic action film Demolition Man, directed by Marco Brambilla, co-starring Wesley Snipes and Sandra Bullock. 75. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 60% based on 42 reviews, with an average rating of 5.43/10. The site's consensus reads, "A better than average sci-fi shoot 'em up with a satirical undercurrent. Demolition Man is bolstered by strong performances by Stallone, Snipes, and Bullock." 76. The film debuted at number 1 at the box office. 77. 78. 79. Demolition Man grossed $58,055,768 by the end of its box office run in North America and $159,055,768 worldwide. 80. His string of hits continued with 1994's The Specialist, co-starring Sharon Stone and directed by Luis Loza, which opened in the US on October 7. 81. While the critical reception was overwhelmingly negative, 82, the film was a commercial success. 83. In its opening weekend it made $14,317,765 and ended up making back its budget with $57,362,582 at the domestic box office, while making another $113 million overseas, giving it a worldwide gross of $170,362,582. 84. Stallone at the 1993 Cannes Film Festival. In 1995, he played the title character, from the British comic book 2000 AD, in the science fiction action film Judge Dredd. His overseas box office appeal saved the domestic box office disappointment of Judge Dredd, which cost almost $100 million and barely made its budget back, with a worldwide tally of $113 million. Despite the film's poor box office performance, Stallone signed a 3-picture deal with Universal Pictures for $60 million, making him the second star after Jim Carrey to receive $20 million per film. The deal expired in February 2000 without him making any films, however, so he received no payment. 85. That year, he also appeared in the thriller Assassins with Julianne Moore and Antonio Banderas. That same year, Stallone, along with an all-star cast of celebrities, appeared in the Trey Parker and Matt Stone short comedy film Your Studio and You, commissioned by the Seagram Company for a party celebrating their acquisition of Universal Studios and the MCA Corporation. Stallone speaks in his Rocky Balboa voice with subtitles translating what he is saying. At one point, Stallone starts yelling about how can they use his Balboa character, that he left it in the past. The narrator calms him with a wine cooler and calling him Brainiac. In response, Stallone says, "Thank you very much." He then looks at the wine cooler and exclaims, "Stupid cheap studio." 86. In 1996, he starred in the disaster film Daylight as a disgraced former emergency services chief who attempts to rescue survivors of an underground tunnel explosion. Daylight also underperformed at the domestic box office, grossing $33 million, but did better overseas and grossed a total of $158 million worldwide. 87. In 1997, Stallone was cast against type as an overweight sheriff in the crime drama Copland, in which he starred alongside Robert De Niro and Ray Liotta. The film was critically well received and was a modest success at the box office, earning $63 million on a $15 million budget, and Stallone's performance earned him the Stockholm International Film Festival Best Actor Award. In 1998, he did voice-over work for the animated film Ants, which was a success domestically. 2000 to 2005, declining years. In 2000, Stallone starred in the thriller Get Carter, a remake of the 1971 British film of the same name, but the film was poorly received by both critics and audiences. Stallone's career declined considerably after his subsequent films Driven, 2001, Avenging Angelo, 2002, and Detox, 2002, were also critical and commercial failures. In 2003, he played a villainous role in the third installment of the Spy Kids series, Spy Kids 3D, Game Over, which was a huge box office success, almost $200 million worldwide. Stallone also had a cameo appearance in the 2003 French film Taxi 3 as a passenger. Also that year, Stallone started to regain prominence for his supporting role in the neo-noir crime drama Shade, which was only released in a limited fashion but was praised by critics. 88. He was also attached to star and direct a film tentatively titled Rampart Scandal, which was to be about the murder of rappers Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. and the surrounding Los Angeles Police Department corruption scandal. 89. It was later titled Notorious but was shelved. 90. In 2005, alongside Sugar Ray Leonard, he was the co-presenter of the NBC reality television boxing competition series The Contender. That same year he also made a guest appearance in 2 episodes of the television series Las Vegas. That year, Stallone also inducted professional wrestling icon Hulk Hogan, who appeared in Rocky III as a wrestler named Thunder Lips, into the WWE Hall of Fame. Stallone was also the person who offered Hogan the cameo in Rocky III. 91 In August, Stallone released his book Sly Moves, which claimed to be a guide to fitness and nutrition as well as a candid insight into his life and works from his own perspective. The book also contained many photographs of Stallone throughout the years as well as pictures of him performing exercises. 2006, present, franchise films. 16 years after filming Rocky V, Stallone reprised his role as Rocky Balboa in 2006. After a 3-year hiatus from films, Stallone had a comeback in 2006 with the 6th installment of the Rocky series, Rocky Balboa, which was a critical and commercial hit. After the critical and box office failure of the previous installment Rocky V, Stallone had decided to write, direct and star in a 6th installment which would be a more appropriate climax to the series. The total domestic box office came to $70.3 million and $155.7 million worldwide. 92 The budget of the film was only $24 million. His performance in Rocky Balboa has been praised and garnered mostly positive reviews. 93 That year, the development Death Wish remake began, when Stallone announced that he would be directing and starring in a remake of the 1974 film. Stallone said, "Instead of the Charles Bronson character being an architect, my version would have him as a very good cop who had incredible success without ever using his gun. So when the attack on his family happens, he's really thrown into a moral dilemma in proceeding to carry out his revenge." He later told the publication that he was no longer involved. 94-95 In a 2009 interview with MTV, though, Stallone stated that he was again considering the project. 96 However, the role went to Bruce Willis with Eli Roth as director. Stallone partnered with a beverage company producing an upscale bottled water brand called Sly Water. 97. In 2006, Stallone expressed his desire to direct a film about Moussa Dak, adapted by Franz Werfel's novel The 40 Days of Moussa Dak, detailing the genocide of its Armenian community in 1915. 98. In 2008, Stallone reprised his other famous role in the 4th installment of the Rambo franchise, titled simply Rambo, John Rambo in some countries where the first film was titled Rambo. The film opened in 2,751 theaters on January 25, 2008, grossing $6,490,000 on its opening day and $18,200,000 over its opening weekend. Its box office was $113,244,290 worldwide with a budget of $50 million. In July 2009, Stallone made a cameo appearance in the Bollywood film Kam Back Ishq, where he played himself. 99. Stallone in 2009 at the 66th Venice International Film Festival. It was announced on December 7, 2010, that Stallone was voted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in the non-participant category. 100. Also that year, Stallone wrote, directed and starred in the ensemble action film The Expendables. The film, which was filmed during summer/winter 2009, was released on August 13, 2010. Joining him in the film were fellow action stars Jason Statham, Jet Li, and Dolph Lundgren, as well as Terry Crews, Mickey Rourke, Randy Couture, Eric Roberts, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and cameos by fellow 80s action icons Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger. 101 The film took $34,825,135 in its opening weekend, going straight in at number 1 in the US box office. The figure marked the biggest opening weekend in Stallone's career. 102 In summer 2010, Brazilian company O2 Filmace released a statement saying it was still owed more than $2 million for its work on the film. 103 In 2011, Stallone provided the voice of a lion in Kevin James' comedy Zookeeper. The Expendables 2 was released August 17, 2012. The sequel received a positive critical reception of 67% on Rotten Tomatoes 104 as opposed to the original's 41%. 105 as well as returning cast members from the first film. The ensemble cast also included Jean-Claude Van Damme and Chuck Norris. That year, Stallone co-wrote the book for the Broadway musical adaptation of Rocky. In 2013, Stallone starred in the action film Bullet to the Head, directed by Walter Hill, based upon Alexis Nolan's French graphic novel Du Plomb dans la tête. 106 also in 2013, he starred in the action thriller Escape Plan, along with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jim Caviezel, and in the sports comedy drama Grudge Match alongside Robert De Niro, harkening back to the Rocky franchise. Stallone was reported to be developing an English-language remake of the Spanish film No Rest for the Wicked, though the project was shelved. 107-108 that year Stallone was credited as writer for the Jason Statham action film vehicle Homefront. The Expendables 3, the third installment in the ensemble action film series, was released on August 15, 2014. The returning ensemble cast also added Wesley Snipes, Antonio Banderas, Mel Gibson, and Harrison Ford. This film was negatively received by both critics and audiences and became the lowest-grossing film in the series. 109. Stallone promoting The Expendables 3 at the 2014 Cannes Film Festival. In 2015, Stallone reprised his role as Rocky Balboa in a spin-off sequel film, Creed, which focused on Adonis Donnie Creed, the son of his deceased friend/rival, Apollo Creed, becoming a professional boxer, played by Michael B. Jordan. The film, directed by Ryan Coogler, received critical acclaim. Portraying the iconic cinematic boxer for the seventh time in a span of 40 years, Stallone's portrayal of the character received widespread acclaim and accolades, including the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor, and his third Academy Award nomination, this time for Best Supporting Actor. In 2017, Stallone appeared in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 as Staker Ogord/Starhawk, the leader of a Ravagers faction. 110 in 2018, he co-starred in Escape Plan 2, Hades with Dave Bautista, which was released straight to home video. Upon wrapping production, he announced via his social media page that work on the third movie titled Escape Plan, The Extractors, began immediately thereafter. 111 in July, Stallone announced that he had finished a script for a sequel to Creed, with a plot including the return of Ivan Drago from Rocky IV. 112 that year, Stallone was featured in Derek Wayne Johnson's John G. Avildsen, King of the Underdogs, a documentary about director John G. Avildsen. 113. Creed 2 went into production in March 2018, with a scheduled release on Thanksgiving 2018. Stallone was originally slated to direct before the appointment of Stephen Caple Jr., in his feature film directorial debut. 114 Creed 2 was released in the United States by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer on November 21, 2018. The film received generally positive reviews from critics and it went on to debut to $35.3 million in its opening weekend, a 5-day total of $55.8 million, marking the biggest debut ever for a live-action release over Thanksgiving. 115-116. On July 23, 2019, in an interview with Variety, Stallone said that a Rocky sequel and prequel are in development. Producer Irwin Winkler said we're very high on it and that negotiations are underway for Stallone to write and star in the feature. We're very anxious to make it. Stallone said the plot of the film would be about Rocky befriending a young fighter who is an undocumented immigrant. Rocky meets a young, angry person who got stuck in this country when he comes to see his sister. He takes him into his life, and unbelievable adventures begin, and they wind up south of the border. It's very, very timely, Stallone said. Stallone also said there are ongoing discussions about a Rocky prequel television series, which he hopes will land on a streaming service, and the series will likely follow a young Rocky Balboa as a professional boxing hopeful. Stallone said producer Irwin Winkler is hesitant on making the series, saying that there was some conflict there. Yes. He felt in his mind that Rocky was primarily a feature film, and he didn't see it as being translated for cable, so there was a big bone of contention. 118. That year, Stallone handpicked Derek Wayne Johnson to direct and produce a documentary on the making of the original Rocky, entitled 40 Years of Rocky, 2020. The documentary features Stallone narrating behind-the-scenes footage from the making of the film. 119. Stallone formed a film studio named Balboa Productions with Braden Aftergood in March 2018, where Stallone will serve as co-producer for each of their projects. The studio signed a multi-year collaboration deal with Starlight Culture Entertainment to develop projects for film and television. 120. In May 2018, a fifth installment in the Rambo franchise was announced, and in August 2018, Adrian Grunberg was confirmed as the director. 121. Rambo: Last Blood began filming by September 2018, with a script co-written by Stallone, who also reprised his role as Vietnam War veteran John Rambo. 122. The plot centers around Rambo infiltrating a Mexican drug cartel to rescue a family friend's daughter. 123. The film, which was released on September 20, 2019, in the United States 124 grossed $18.9 million in its opening weekend, the best debut of the franchise. 125. 126. The film grossed $91 million worldwide against a production budget of $50 million. In late 2020, Stallone lent his voice as Rambo to the fighting video game Mortal Kombat 11, as part of the game's second combat pack. 127. In 2021, he voiced King Shark in the DC Extended Universe film The Suicide Squad. 128. In 2022, Stallone starred in Samaritan, a dark interpretation of the superhero genre, from a script written by Bragi Scoot. 129. In November 2022, Stallone made his streaming television debut in Tulsa King, in which he plays a mafia boss. The 9-episode series was created by Taylor Sheridan and Terrence Winter and premiered on Paramount+. 130. A second season continued thereafter. In May 2023, Stallone and his immediate family, wife and 3 daughters, starred in a reality television series The Family Stallone. 7 days after launch, the series was renewed for a second season. That same month, Stallone reprised his role as Staker Ogard in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. 131. Sly, a documentary film about Stallone by Tom Tsimney, premiered as the closing film of the 2023 Toronto International Film Festival. 132. In October 2023, he reprised role as Barney Ross in Expendables, which was a critical and commercial failure, becoming the lowest grossing film in the franchise. 133. Upcoming projects. Following the releases of Creed II and Rambo v. Last Blood, Balboa Productions has had an extensive production slate. A film depicting the history of Jack Galveston Giant Johnson, the first African-American boxing heavyweight champion, is in development. The project was announced after Stallone's instrumental involvement in helping get Johnson a posthumous pardon from U.S. President Donald Trump. 134. Stallone is also scheduled to star in the film adaptation of Hunter, a story which had originally been planned as the premise for Rambo v. Last Blood. The story centers around Nathaniel Hunter, a professional tracker who is hired to hunt a half-human beast created as an experiment of a secret agency. A feature-length adaptation of the biographical novel Ghost, My 30 Years as an FBI Undercover Agent by Michael McGowan and Ralph Petzullo about McGowan's career of over 50 undercover missions will follow, though there is no screenwriter attached to the project. Additionally, a film centered around Black Ops troops, being written by retired Army Ranger Max Adams, is also in development. Stallone wrote A Working Man in collaboration with David Ayer from a book series created by Chuck Dixon, which was initially intended to be a television series, but later became a feature film starring Jason Statham. 135 The television production slate includes a series adaptation of Charles Saylor's Second Son being written by Rob Williams. 136. In May 2020, Stallone announced that a sequel to 1993's Demolition Man is in the works. I think it's coming. We're working on it right now with Warner Brothers. It's looking fantastic. So, that should come out, that's going to happen. 137 Stallone has continued to express his passion in directing a film based on Edgar Allan Poe's life, a script he has been preparing for years. He has also mentioned that he would like to adapt Nelson DeMille's novel The Lion's Game. Multiple tasks in media. In 1977, for the first Rocky, Stallone became the third man in history to receive the two nominations for Best Actor and Best Screenplay, after Charlie Chaplin and Orson Welles. 138 Stallone is known for his recurring roles as Rocky Balboa, John Rambo, and Barney Ross. Stallone wrote and starred in all of 6 Rocky films, while directing 4 of the sequels. Stallone starred in and co-wrote the 5 films of the Rambo franchise, and also directed the 4th one. Stallone wrote, directed, and took the lead role in the first installment of the Expendables films. Stallone directed, wrote, and starred in Paradise Alley. John Travolta starred in Staying Alive, a sequel of Saturday Night Fever, which Stallone wrote and directed. Stallone wrote and starred in Cobra, and Driven. Stallone co-wrote and starred in FIST, Rhinestone, Over the Top, Cliffhanger, and Creed 2. Citation needed. Asked in February 2008 which of the icons, Rocky or Rambo, he would rather be remembered for, Stallone said it's a tough one, but Rocky is my first baby, so Rocky. 139. He also stated that Rocky could be interpreted as the conscious and Rambo as the unconscious of the same character. 140. Stallone has occasionally sung in his films. He sang Too Close to Paradise for Paradise Alley, 1978, with the music provided by Bill Conti, who also collaborated with Stallone in prior years, having recorded the famous Gonna Fly Now theme for his Academy Award-nominated film, Rocky, 1976, which was a US #1 hit. 141 In Rocky III, 1982, Stallone, as Rocky Balboa, sang Take Me Back to his on-screen wife, Adrienne, Talia Shire, as they lay in bed. The song was first performed by singer and younger brother, Frank, who had a small role in the original Rocky. For Rhinestone, 1984, Stallone sang such songs as Drinkenstein as well as duets with his co-star, and actual country music star, Dolly Parton. 142 He also performed 2 songs when he guest starred on The Muppet Show in the 1980s, at the height of his career. 143 The last time Stallone sang in a film was in Grudge Match, 2013, when he and Robert De Niro performed The Star-Spangled Banner together. 144. Personal life. Marriages and children. Stallone, right, with then-wife Brigitte Nielsen, second from right, President Ronald Reagan, and First Lady Nancy Reagan at the White House in 1985. Stallone has been married 3 times. He has 2 sons from his first marriage and 3 daughters from his third marriage. At age 28, on December 28, 1974, he married Sasha Zack. They had 2 sons, Sage Moonblood Stallone, 1976 to 2012, who died of heart disease at age 36, and Sergio, B. 1979, who was diagnosed with autism at an early age. The couple divorced on February 14, 1985. Stallone married model and actress Brigitte Nielsen on December 15, 1985, in Beverly Hills, California. Their marriage, which lasted 2 years, and their subsequent divorce were highly publicized by the tabloid press. 145, 146, 147. In 1988, Stallone met model Jennifer Flavin and they were in a relationship until 1994, when Stallone told her he was having a child with model Janice Dickinson. After the February 1994 birth, DNA tests confirmed he was not the father and Stallone ended his engagement to Dickinson. After a brief 1995 engagement with model Angie Everhart, he and Flavin rekindled their relationship. In May 1997, Stallone and Jennifer Flavin married. The couple has 3 daughters, Sophia, Sistine, and Scarlett. 148 his daughters were chosen to share the role of Golden Globe Ambassador at the 74th Golden Globe Awards. 149 on August 19, 2022, Palm Beach County records showed that after 25 years of marriage, Jennifer Flavin had filed for dissolution of marriage and other relief. 151 on September 23, 2022, the couple reconciled. 152. Family and friends. Stallone maintains a relationship with his brother Frank, who contributed the theme songs to Rambo, First Blood Part 2, and Staying Alive. In 1983, Frank's song Far From Over, for Staying Alive, reached the number 10 US hit. Frank appears in minor roles, bit parts, and provides music in many films starring Sylvester, most notably in the Rocky films, where Frank played a street corner singer and contributed songs. 153 Stallone's 48-year-old half-sister, Toni Ann Filitti, died of lung cancer on August 26, 2012. 154 Stallone was a close friend of Joe Spinell, but they had a falling out during the shooting of their final collaboration, Nighthawks, in 1981, and Spinell died in 1989. 155. Injuries. Known for physically demanding roles and his willingness to do the majority of his own stunts, Stallone has suffered various injuries during his acting career. During the filming of Escape to Victory, he broke a finger trying to save a penalty kick against Pelé. 156 For a scene in Rocky IV, he told Dolph Lundgren, "Punch me as hard as you can in the chest." He later said, "Next thing I know, I was in intensive care at St. John's Hospital for 4 days. It's stupid." 157 158. While filming a fight scene with Stone Cold Steve Austin for the Expendables, he broke his neck and required the insertion of a metal plate. 159. Legal issues. In February 2001, an exotic dancer named Margie Carr filed a lawsuit against Stallone, accusing him of rape while at a Santa Monica fitness center where they both worked out on February 26, 2000. A lawyer for Stallone denied the claim, saying she sold the story to Globe the month before the lawsuit. 160 161 162. In 2007, customs officials in Australia discovered 48 vials of the synthetic human growth hormone Gintropin in Stallone's luggage. 163 In a court hearing on May 15, he pleaded guilty to 2 charges of possessing a controlled substance. 164. In 2013, it was reported that Stallone paid a $2 million lump sum settlement alongside a monthly amount and a trust for psychiatric and medical expenses to his half-sister Toni Ann Filitti in 1987. Filitti threatened to file a lawsuit accusing him of abuse. Representatives for Stallone and Filitti's mother Jacqueline Stallone denied the allegations, accusing Filitti of blackmailing him and being a drug addict. However, Filitti's son, Ed Filitti, supported the claims, saying his mother screamed about abuse at the hands of her half-brother over and over, before her death in 2012. 165 161. In 2016, a report from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department was published stating that Stallone was accused of sexual assault by a 16-year-old girl while he was shooting a film in Las Vegas in 1986. The teen reportedly said that Stallone, then 40, forced her into a threesome with his bodyguard. 166 A representative for Stallone denied the allegation. 167 Stallone's ex-wife, Bridget Nielsen, later came to his defense, saying that she was with him at the time of the alleged assault. Stallone's over-the-top co-star David Mendenhall also defended Stallone, denying claims that he introduced Stallone to the girl in question. 168. In November 2017, a woman accused Stallone of sexually assaulting her at his Santa Monica office in the early 1990s. Stallone denied the claim. 169 His attorney revealed the accuser filed a report after an entertainment website declined to pick up the story. 170 Stallone's attorneys also stated that while the actor had a consensual relationship with the accuser in 1987, they had two witnesses who refuted the claims. 171 In June 2018, the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office confirmed an investigation, stating that the Santa Monica Police Department had presented a sex crimes case against Stallone to a special prosecution task force for review. 172 In October 2018, the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office made the decision not to charge Stallone for the alleged assault, as no witnesses corroborated the allegations. Stallone in turn filed a police report regarding her lying on an official document. 173 174. Religious views. Stallone was baptized and raised a devout Catholic but stopped going to church as his acting career progressed. He rediscovered his childhood faith when his daughter was born ill in 1996, and he again became a strict Catholic by late 2006. 175 The same year, he was interviewed by Pat Robertson from the Christian Broadcasting Network's 700 Club. He stated that he spent much of his previous time in Hollywood losing his way because temptation abounded, but later put things in God's hands. 176 However, he told GQ magazine in 2010, "I'm pretty spiritual, I believe a lot in the spirit of man. I'm certainly not an atheist. I was baptized Catholic, but I don't belong to a structured church. I have no opposition to it. I think there's great nuggets of knowledge in there, some wonderful rules to live by. Then the flip side is the amount of agony that's caused." 177. Politics. Stallone has supported several Republican politicians, but does not identify as a member of the Republican Party. 178 He is a staunch advocate of gun control despite his otherwise conservative views, and has been described as the most anti-gun celebrity in Hollywood. 179 In 1994, Stallone contributed $1,000 to the campaign of then-Congressman Rick Santorum, who was then running for the Senate in Pennsylvania. 180 In 2008, Stallone endorsed John McCain for that year's presidential election. In 2015, upon the advice of a Vedic scholar, Stallone performed a Hindu Tithi Shraddh ritual, done for those who died by accident or murder, at Haridwar for his son Sage. 181. Stallone expresses support for recognition of the Armenian genocide. 182 98. In the run-up to the 2016 presidential election, Stallone described Donald Trump as a Dickensian character and larger than life, but did not endorse Trump or anyone else in the Republican primaries. 178 That same year, he declined an offer to become chair of the National Endowment for the Arts, citing a desire to work on issues related to veterans. 183 In 2023, Stallone donated $11,600 to independent Senator Kyrsten Sinema's re-election campaign in Arizona. 184 Later that year, he and his family spent time with Pope Francis in a private meeting at the Vatican. 185 After Trump's win in the 2024 election, Stallone attended an event at Mar-a-Lago. 186 During a speech, Stallone praised Trump as a mythical character and the second George Washington. He also compared him to his character Rocky Balboa. 187. On January 16, 2025, it was announced by Trump that Stallone would serve in a new role as a special ambassador to Hollywood, sharing the role with fellow actors Jon Voight and Mel Gibson. Trump stated that he wants these actors to make Hollywood stronger than ever before by bringing back business lost to foreign countries. 188. Acting credits and accolades. Main articles: Sylvester Stallone filmography and list of awards and nominations received by Sylvester Stallone. Stallone's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Stallone's handprint in Concheminde étoiles. Over the course of his career, Stallone has received a Golden Globe Award from 3 nominations, a Critics' Choice Movie Award, a People's Choice Award, and international prizes from the César Awards, David Di Donatello, and the Venice International Film Festival, as well as nominations for 3 Academy Awards and 2 BAFTA Awards. Star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, 1984. International Boxing Hall of Fame, Class of 2010. Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor, Motion Picture for Creed, 2016. Heart of Hollywood Award from the Board of Governors of the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, 2016, Jason Statham, /STEM/STATHM, born July 26, 1967, is an English actor. He is known for portraying tough, gritty, or violent characters in various action thriller films, and has been credited for leading the resurgence of action films during the 2000s and 2010s. By 2017, his films had grossed over £1.1 billion, $1.5 billion, making him one of the industry's most bankable stars. 3 films in which he has appeared have grossed over $8.4 billion worldwide. 4. Statham began practicing Chinese martial arts, kickboxing, and karate recreationally in his youth while working at local market stalls. An avid footballer and diver, he was a member of Great Britain's national diving team and competed for England in the 1990 Commonwealth Games. Shortly after, he was asked to model for French Connection, Tommy Hilfiger, and Levi's in various advertising campaigns. Statham's history of working at market stalls inspired his casting in the Guy Ritchie crime films Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, 1998, and Snatch, 2000. Both films were commercial hits, and they helped catapult Statham to stardom. 5. He went on to play supporting roles in the American action films Turn It Up, 2000, Ghosts of Mars and The One, both 2001. From 2002 to 2008, he played the title role in the first 3 films in the Transporter film series, 2002 to 2008, which solidified his status as an action star. In 2003, he appeared in the ensemble heist action film The Italian Job. He went on to play leading roles in commercially successful films such as Crank, 2006, The Bank Job, 2008, The Mechanic, 2011, Homefront, 2013, Mechanic, Resurrection, 2016, The Meg, 2018, Wrath of Man, 2021, Meg 2, The Trench, 2023, and The Beekeeper, 2024, among others. Statham has also starred as Lee Christmas in the ensemble action film series The Expendables, 2010 to 2023, and as Deckard Shaw in the Fast and Furious franchise, 2013 to 2023, including the spin-off Hobbs and Shaw, 2019, which he co-produced. His voice acting work includes the documentaries Thai Boxing, A Fighting Chance, 2002, Truth in 24, 2008, and its 2012 sequel, and the animated film Romeo and Juliet, 2011. Early life and education. Jason Statham was born in Shirebrook on July 26, 1967, the son of dancer Eileen, née Yates, and street seller Barry Statham. 8. His father also worked odd jobs as a house painter, coal miner, and singer in the Canary Islands. 9. Statham moved to Great Yarmouth, where he initially chose not to follow his father's career working the local market stalls, instead practicing martial arts. He grew up alongside football player Vinnie Jones, with whom he would later act. Jones introduced him to football, and Statham went on to play for the local grammar school, which he attended from 1978 to 1983. He was also passionate about diving, practicing daily to perfect his techniques. 10. He was a member of Great Britain's national swimming squad for 12 years 11-12 and competed for England at the 1990 Commonwealth Games in the 10-meter, 3-meter, and 1-meter events, coming 10th, 11th and 8th respectively. 13. He said in a 2003 interview that his time with the national squad was a great experience that taught him discipline, focus, and certainly kept him out of trouble. 14. Statham was spotted by the sports modeling agency Sports Promotions while training at London's Crystal Palace National Sports Centre. He was signed by Tommy Hilfiger, Griffin, and Levi's for various modeling contracts during their 1996 spring and summer collections. 15. In 1997, he became a model for the clothing brand French Connection. A spokesperson for the high street clothing chain said, "We chose Jason because we wanted our model to look like a normal guy. His look is just right for now, very masculine and not too male modelly." 7. However, he was still forced to follow in his father's footsteps as a street seller to make ends meet, stating that he sold fake perfume and jewelry on street corners. 9. He made small appearances in a few music videos, including Comin' On by The Shaman in 1993, Run to the Sun by Erasure in 1994. 17, and Dream a Little Dream of Me by The Beautiful South in 1995. 18-19. Career 2000 to 2010, rise to prominence. Statham in 2007. While working as a model for French Connection, Statham was introduced to fledgling filmmaker Guy Ritchie, 20, who was developing a film and needed to fill the role of a streetwise con artist. After learning about Statham's past as a market stall salesman, Ritchie cast him in the crime comedy thriller Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, 1998. 21. The film was well received by both critics and audiences, and helped put Statham in the public eye. For his role, he was paid £5,000. 9. Statham's second collaboration with Ritchie came with Snatch, 2000, which earned more than $80 million at the box office. For his role in Snatch, he was paid £15,000. 9. He was then able to break into Hollywood and appeared in 2 films in 2001, the science fiction action horror film Ghosts of Mars and the science fiction martial arts action film The One. In 2002, he narrated the martial arts documentary Thai Boxing, A Fighting Chance, 2002, which follows the lives of 3 individuals who come from very different backgrounds that are all training Muay Thai, each with their own unique motivations and stories, as they prepare for their next fight. 22. Statham was offered more film roles and was cast in the lead role of driver Frank Martin in the action film The Transporter, 2002, written by Luc Besson. 23. The film spawned 2 sequels, Transporter 2, 2005, and Transporter 3, 2008. He also played supporting roles in Mean Machine, 2002, The Italian Job, 2003, Comet 24 and as the lead villain in Cellular, 2004. In 2005, Statham was once again cast by Ritchie to star in his new project, Revolver, which was a critical and box office failure. 25. He played a dramatic role in the independent film London in 2006. That same year he played the lead role in the action film Crank. Statham was asked to promote Crank during the 2006 San Diego Comic-Con convention. 26. In 2008, Statham starred in the British crime thriller The Bank Job and Death Race, a remake of Death Race 2000, 1975. American film critic Armand White hailed Statham's ascension as an action film star. On the occasion of Death Race, White championed Statham's best track record of any contemporary movie star. 27. Later in 2008, White praised Statham's Transporter 3 as a great example of kinetic pop art. Chris Hewitt of Empire magazine, noted the film as a dour, drab affair, but credited the film with establishing Statham as a new action hero, as at ease with gruff one-liners as he was with Jackie Chan-esque high-kicking. 28. In 2009, Statham started to develop a new movie written by David Peoples and Janet Peoples. Statham stated, "We've got a movie we're trying to do, written by David Peoples and Janet Peoples, in the vein of an old film, The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. It's not a remake or anything, but it's a little bit like that, about relationships and how greed contaminates the relationships these three people have." The working title is The Grabbers. 29. He reprised his role as Chev Kelios in the 2009 sequel Crank, High Voltage. 30. In 2010, Statham appeared alongside fellow action stars Sylvester Stallone, Jet Li, Dolph Lundgren, and Mickey Rourke, among others, in the ensemble action film The Expendables. Statham plays Lee Christmas, a former SAS soldier and expert at close quarters combat using knives. 31. The film was commercially successful, opening at number 1 at the box office in the United States, the United Kingdom, China, and India, and grossed a total of $274 million worldwide. 32. 2011 to 2015, commercial expansion. Statham in 2012. In his first film of 2011, Statham starred in the remake of the 1972 Charles Bronson film The Mechanic as Arthur Bishop. A theatrical trailer depicting Statham's character shooting a man's head off was banned from circulation by the Advertising Standards Authority for showing excessive violence. 33. His role in The Mechanic was positively reviewed by the critics both in the United States and the United Kingdom. The Guardian praised his performance as possessing a now customary efficiency in attaining an entertaining hitman thriller. 34. The New York Times noted Statham as sleek as a bullet, and the film a more powerful recharge of the original. 35. UK newspaper, The Daily Telegraph hailed Statham as England's best export to action movies in just about forever, a business-like brute with gentlemanly soul. 36. He returned to British film by starring in the police drama Blitz as Detective Sergeant Tom Brandt. The film received mixed reviews, with Kath Clake of The Guardian reviewing it as not half bad and oddly entertaining. 37. He was then cast in the action film Killer Elite. The film was based on real events, which were the subject of Sir Ranulph Fiennes' novel The Feather Men. Statham played an assassin named Danny who comes out of retirement to save an old friend, played by Robert De Niro. 38. The film returned a negative budget, and was panned by the critics. 39. In August 2011, he began filming Parker for director Taylor Hackford. The film was released in January 2013. Statham played Parker, the criminal anti-hero previously played by Mel Gibson in 1999's Payback and by Lee Marvin in 1967's Point Blank, though their characters were given different surnames. 40. A.O. Scott of the New York Times said of the actor in the film, Statham, who seems to be made entirely of muscle and scar tissue, is comfortable with his limitations as an actor. His Parker, in any case, is more of an axiom than a fully rounded human being. 41. A 2012 BBC News report estimated that his 10-year film career to date, 2002 to 2012, yielded over $1 billion in the box office, making him one of the industry's most bankable stars. 3. He was signed on to reprise his role as Lee Christmas in The Expendables 2 in 2012. 42. Statham, Center, at the 2014 Cannes Film Festival. In 2013, Statham had a cameo appearance at the end of Fast and Furious 6 as the brother of the film's antagonist Owen Shaw, Luke Evans. 43. He reprised the character, this time as the main antagonist, in Furious 7, which was released in April 2015. 44. 45. 46. He also starred opposite James Franco in the thriller Homefront, written by Sylvester Stallone. 47. And headlined the British thriller Hummingbird. The latter film was praised by critics for pushing Statham's acting abilities to new heights. His attempt to develop his brand by trying more adventurous parts noted by The Guardian's Mark Kermode, broadened his dramatic palette. 48-49 Statham made a cameo in the 2014 music video Summer of Calvin Harris as one of the car racers. In 2014, he returned as Lee Christmas in The Expendables 3. Although critically panned, the film would go on to gross $215 million against a $90 million budget. 51. In 2015, he starred in the action comedy Spy alongside Melissa McCarthy, Jude Law, and Rose Byrne. The film, a commercial success, was particularly praised for showcasing Statham's comedic side in contrast to his more serious roles. 52, 53, 54, 55 According to an article by Empire magazine, A Spy 2 was development in late 2015, with more screen time dedicated for Statham's character, Rick Ford. 56 He was nominated for the Critics' Choice Award for Best Actor in a Comedy for his role in Spy. 57. Statham was offered a 3-film contract to reboot the Transporter series in late 2015, but turned it down because he was not given the script before the signing date and unhappy with its compensation package. 58-59 According to an article by The Guardian, Statham expressed interest in playing James Bond in the upcoming Spectre film. Its author, Steve Rose, noted that there was no doubt Statham can walk the Bond walk. And talking his talk can hardly be an issue with a character whose accent has fluctuated between Sean Connery's Scottish brogue and Timothy Dalton's Welsh. 60. After the interview there were multiple calls from critics and the public to instate him as James Bond in a future film. 61, 62, 63. 2016, present, continued success. The sequel to his 2011 film The Mechanic was scheduled for production in late 2016 and announced to open as Mechanic, Resurrection. The film went on to become highly commercially successfully in international film markets, grossing $109.4 million worldwide. 64 According to Forbes, the film was Statham's 7th biggest earner and most commercially successful solo film venture of his career. 64. In February 2017, he starred alongside Gal Gadot in a 30-second Super Bowl advertisement for Wix.com during Super Bowl 51. 65 CNET reported that the advertisement reached 22 million user impressions. 66 Statham was asked to rejoin the Fast and Furious franchise once more in 2016. The ensuing film, The Fate of the Furious, was released in April 2017 to commercial success. While the film overall received mixed reviews, Statham was praised for his comedic timing and on-screen chemistry with contemporaries. 67, 68, 69 The film went on to be the 3rd highest grossing film of 2017 and the 12th highest grossing film of all time. 70, 71. Spy 2 was confirmed on February 15, 2018. 72, 73 But later in 2018, Feig explained that although a sequel to Spy could still happen, there hasn't been any interest from the studio in the project. 74-75. Statham played the lead, former naval captain Jonas Taylor, in the 2018 action horror film The Meg, which was released on August 10. The film would go on to gross $527.8 million worldwide, becoming the highest grossing U.S. Chinese co-production of all time. 76. In 2019, Statham reprised his role as Deckard Shaw again in Fast and Furious Presents, Hobbs and Shaw, a spin-off of the Fast and Furious franchise focusing on his and Dwayne Johnson's characters. 77-78 The film grossed $758 million worldwide, becoming the 10th highest grossing film of 2019, and received generally positive reviews from critics, with praise for Statham's performance. 79. In 2022, Statham established his own production company, Punch Palace Productions. Citation needed. Public image. An article by Adam Gabot in The Guardian noted that Statham's character contributions to his industry and film niche are tough and uncompromising. 8081 Some critics note his presence as a defining feature that signals to moviegoers the content of a film. 82 The same expose commented, "You know what you're getting with a Jason Statham film. He will beat people up. He will crash cars. He will do an unconvincing American accent." 80. Statham's impact on the action thriller genre has been seen by Gabot as a replacement of the same undertaken by Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, and Jean-Claude Van Damme during their runs as headliners throughout the 1980s and 1990s. 80 Statham himself cites Stallone, Bruce Lee, Paul Newman, Steve McQueen, and Clint Eastwood as his inspirations. 83. An article by Times Higher Education reported that Manchester University Press commissioned an academic study analysing the impact Statham has had on the British and American film industries from his debut in 1998 to 2018. According to the article, Professors Stephen Gerrard and Robert Shale are looking to show the changing face of British cinematic masculinity into one that embraces cinema across a wide range of projects, but one that also uses cross-textual media in his output. 2. In popular media. In 2003, Statham appeared in 3 British television commercials for the Kit Kat chocolate bar. Described as a break philosopher, he philosophized about salmon swimming upstream, a Mexican fisherman, and the relative speeds and ages of animals, before ending with a reminder that taking a break, alluding to the Kit Kat slogan, is an important part of life. Citation needed. In the comic book series Ultimate Spider-Man, that series version of the villain Vulture was rendered by artist Mark Bagley to resemble actor Statham, per writer Brian Michael Bendis' instructions. 84. In the 21 Pilots song Pet Cheetah released in 2018, Statham is mentioned in the lyrics. 85. Personal life. Statham has been in a relationship with model Rosie Huntington-Whiteley since 2010. 86 The couple announced their engagement in January 2016. 87 Their son was born in June 2017. 88 Their daughter was born on February 2, 2022. 89 They lived in Beverly Hills for a number of years. 90 Before moving back to London in 2020. 91 92 93 Statham holds a black belt in karate. 94. Statham enjoys wakeboarding, jet skiing, windsurfing, and rock climbing. 83 He is known for performing many of his own stunts. 5 While filming on location in Bulgaria for the Expendables 3, he drove a truck off the road in Varna and crashed into the Black Sea due to malfunctioning brakes. 69-95. In a 2013 interview with Vanity Fair, Statham advocated for stunt performers to be given their own category at the Academy Awards. All of the stunt men, these are the unsung heroes. They really are. Nobody is giving them any credibility. They're risking their necks. And then you've got Ponzi actors pretending like they're doing the stunts. 82. In 2014, Statham was inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame. Randall Dwayne Couture, /Couture/, born June 22, 1963, is an American mixed martial arts commentator, actor, former United States Army Sergeant, former professional mixed martial artist, and former collegiate and Greco-Roman wrestler. Won during his tenures in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, he became a 3-time UFC heavyweight champion, 2-time UFC light heavyweight champion, an interim UFC light heavyweight champion, making him a 6-time UFC champion and the UFC 13 heavyweight tournament winner. 2-3 He is the first fighter in history to win a UFC championship in 2 different divisions. 4 He currently serves as a commentator and analyst for the Professional Fighters League. 5. Couture has competed in 16 title fights. He is tied for the record for the most wins in UFC heavyweight championship bouts, 6, with former UFC heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic. 6 He had the most title reigns in the UFC, with 6. His last fight with Lyoto Machida marked his 24th fight in the UFC. He is the 4th member of the UFC Hall of Fame. He is one of only 2 fighters over the age of 40 to have won a UFC championship fight, 7 having done so 4 times. He is one of the few MMA champions to regain a title he had lost, and the only to have done it 3 times, twice at heavyweight, once at light heavyweight. 8. Couture was an Olympic wrestling alternate and has lived in Corvallis, Oregon throughout much of his career, where he served as an assistant wrestling coach and a strength and conditioning coach for Oregon State University. 9. He established Team Quest with Matt Lindland and Dan Henderson, a training camp for fighters, based out of Gresham, Oregon 10-11 and headed by coach Robert Foley's. In 2005, he moved to Las Vegas, where he opened his own extensive chain of gyms under the name Extreme Couture. 12. He partnered with Bass Rutten to open Legends Gym in Hollywood, California. 13. Couture is generally recognized as a clinch and ground and pound fighter who uses his wrestling ability to execute takedowns, establish top position and successively strike the opponent on the bottom. 14. He has displayed a variety of skills in boxing and catch wrestling. He is the only UFC fighter to win a championship after becoming a Hall of Famer and is the oldest champion in MMA history at age 45. 15. Background. Couture was born in Everett, Washington, the son of Sharon Amelia, née King, and Edward Louis Ed Couture. 1617 He wrestled at Linwood High School in Linwood, Washington, where he won a state championship during his senior year in wrestling. Afterwards he served in the U.S. Army from 1982 to 1988, attaining the rank of sergeant in the 101st Airborne, where he wrestled and did a little boxing. 1819. While he was in the Army he applied for tryouts with the U.S. Army Freestyle Wrestling Team. However, due to a clerical error his application was sent to the Greco-Roman wrestling tryouts, and rather than wait until the next year he decided to pursue it. Despite never having competed in Greco-Roman he made the team. 20 He went on to win the U.S. Army Europe title and made the All-Army team. 21. Upon discharge, Couture became a 3-time Olympic team alternate, 1988, 1992, and 1996, a semifinalist at the 2000 Olympic trials, a 3-time NCAA Division I All-American and a 2-time NCAA Division I runner-up, 1991 and 1992, at Oklahoma State University. 22 In 1992, he was the Division I runner-up at 190 pounds, 86 kilograms, coming in second after Mark Kerr. 23 From 1989 to 1992 he accumulated a collegiate wrestling record of 113-42. He graduated from Oklahoma State University with a bachelor's degree in literature. 24. Mixed martial arts career. Ultimate Fighting Championship and rings. Being called to the tournament as an alternate on 3 weeks' notice, 25 Couture made his professional mixed martial arts debut at UFC 1326 on May 30, 1997, as part of a 4-man heavyweight tournament. 27 His first opponent was Tony Halm, who outweighed him by nearly 100 pounds, 45 kilograms, 7.1 st. 28 Couture immediately hit a double leg takedown and, after some ground and pound, moved to back mount and secured a rear naked choke submission to win in under a minute. 29 In the tournament final, he defeated Stephen Graham, another larger opponent, 290 pounds, by TKO at 3:13 into the first round. 30. On October 17, 1997, at UFC 15, Couture fought Vitor Belfort to determine the #1 contender for the UFC Heavyweight Championship. 31 Couture was an underdog, as 19-year-old Belfort was the UFC 12 Heavyweight Tournament champion, winning all of his matches with devastating punches. 32 After circling away from Belfort's left hand, Couture got the clinch. The fighters broke up and, when Belfort attempted a flurry of punches, Couture hit a takedown. He immediately gained side control and landed strikes. As Belfort scrambled to his feet, Couture landed knee strikes. He clinched again and wore Belfort down with dirty boxing. By the 7-minute mark, Belfort was exhausted. Couture again took him down, and finished him with punches from back mount, for one of the biggest upsets in MMA at the time. 33. At UFC Japan on December 21, Couture challenged the UFC heavyweight champion, Maurice Smith, to his second title defense since winning the belt from Mark Coleman earlier that year. 34. It was a slow-paced fight, and neither fighter significantly damaged the other, but Couture hit several takedowns and held positional control throughout the fight. After 21 minutes, he won a majority decision and became the new UFC heavyweight champion. 35. Though this win was controversial, as many believe Smith did enough to win the fight. In 1998, UFC matchmakers wanted Couture to defend the belt against Bas Rutten, former king of Pancrase. Couture instead signed with Vale Tudo Japan, and was stripped of the title. 36-37. He had his first and only match against Judo veteran and grappling specialist Enson Inoue. 38. After taking the fight to the ground, Couture tapped out to an armbar, just over 90 seconds into the bout. 39. Still in Japan, Couture was signed up with Fighting Network Rings, debuting against Mikhail Ilyukhin on March 20, 1999, in Rings. 40. Couture submitted to a Kimura, though the loss was controversial due to Ilyukhin locking the hold while they were being repositioned on the center of the ring. 41. After that loss, he took a break from MMA to focus on his amateur wrestling career. Couture returned to MMA in October 2000, for the Rings King of Kings Tournament 2000. 42. He won a unanimous decision over UFC veteran Jeremy Horn in his first fight. 43. And then another over Pancrase veteran Ryoshi Yanagisawa. 44. These two wins qualified him for the final event of the tournament, in March 2001. Before that, he was offered a shot at the UFC Heavyweight Championship against Kevin Randleman on November 17, 2000. He was taken down in the first 2 rounds, but defended well from his back, negating most of Randleman's ground and pound attempts. In the 3rd round, he tripped Randleman to the mat and landed several strikes from full mount for a TKO victory and his second UFC Heavyweight Championship. 45. In February 2001, Couture continued in the Rings King of Kings Tournament 2000 final. 46. After winning an even decision over veteran Tsuyoshi Kosaka in the first fight. 47. He got caught in a guillotine choke by Valentin Overeem after committing himself in a takedown and had to submit. 48. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira won the tournament, and Couture returned to the UFC. His first title defense was against Brazilian kickboxer Pedro Rizzo, at UFC 31. This was the first UFC event under Zuffa management, with Dana White as the new president. Both fighters inflicted substantial damage. After 5 5-minute rounds, Couture won a close unanimous decision. 49. Some fans felt Rizzo had won, so the UFC set up an immediate rematch for UFC 34 in November 2001. This time, Couture won decisively by TKO in the 3rd round. 50. His 3rd title defense was in March 2002, against up-and-comer Josh Barnett. In the 2nd round, Barnett mounted Couture and landed several strikes to win the title by TKO. 51. After the fight, it was revealed Barnett had tested positive for anabolic steroids. He was subsequently stripped of the title and cut from the UFC. 52. Couture then faced Rico Rodriguez for the vacant UFC Heavyweight Championship at UFC 39, in late 2002. 53. After dominating the first 3 rounds, 39-year-old Couture became noticeably fatigued. In the 5th round, Rodriguez took him down and landed an elbow strike to his orbital bone, breaking it and making him submit. 54. This was the first time a UFC fight had finished in the 5th round. Moved to light heavyweight and trilogy with Chuck Liddell. See also, Randy Couture vs Chuck Liddell. After 2 consecutive losses to larger opponents in the heavyweight division, Couture moved down to the light heavyweight division. 55. In his light heavyweight debut, he fought longtime number 1 contender Chuck Liddell for the UFC Interim Light Heavyweight Championship. 56 he was again the underdog but, after outstriking Liddell for 3 rounds, took the fight to the ground and won by TKO via strikes from full mount. 57 becoming the first UFC fighter to win titles in 2 weight classes. 58. His next match, against 5-time defending champion Tito Ortiz, was billed as a champion versus champion fight. 40-year-old Couture won a unanimous decision to become the undisputed UFC light heavyweight champion. 59-60. Couture's first title defense was against Vitor Belfort, whom he had previously defeated in 1997 at UFC 15. 61 in the first round, as Couture closed the distance to attempt a clinch, Belfort grazed his right eye with a left hook. His glove opened a cut, and Belfort was declared the winner when the cage-side doctor advised the fight be stopped. A rubber match took place later that year. 62 Couture dominated all 3 rounds before winning by doctor stoppage due to a cut, and became a 2-time UFC light heavyweight champion. 63. On April 16, 2005, in a rematch with Liddell, Couture lost his title and suffered the first knockout loss of his career. 64 He came back in August to defeat Mike Van Arsdale and re-establish himself as a top contender. 65 He faced Liddell for the third and final time in a championship match at UFC 57, on February 4, 2006. He was knocked out in the second round and, immediately afterwards, announced his retirement from MMA. 66-67. Couture in 2005. On June 24, 2006, on the Ultimate Fighter 3 finale, Couture became the 4th inductee to the UFC Hall of Fame, joining Royce Gracie, Dan Severn, and Ken Shamrock. 68. Retirement. After retiring from MMA, Couture became a regular broadcast commentator for UFC events and co-host of Before the Bell and After the Bell on the Fight Network. 69 He appeared in the Rob Schneider movie Big Stan, with fellow mixed martial artists Don Frye and Bob Sapp. 70. On November 17, 2006, Couture fought and drew with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion Ronaldo Jacare Souza in a submission wrestling contest. 71 After the match, Couture invited Souza to train at his gym. Souza accepted and started training at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas. 72. Couture was featured in the Season 2 premiere episode of the Spike TV show Pros vs. Joes, which aired January 25, 2007. 73-74 His teammates on the episode were Michael Irvin, Kevin Willis, and Jose Canseco. 75 He returned for the finale, where he took part in a football-based round. His teammates were Willis, Randall Cunningham, Bruce Smith, Roy Jones Jr., and Tim Hardaway. 76. Reclaiming the heavyweight championship. Couture now trains at his own gym, Extreme Couture. On January 11, 2007, Couture announced his return from retirement in an interview on the Spike TV magazine show, Inside the UFC. 77 In a conversation with Joe Rogan, he confirmed he would face Tim Sylvia for the UFC Heavyweight Championship at UFC 68, on March 3, 2007. 78 He also announced he had signed a 4-fight, 2-year deal with the UFC. At the age of 43, Couture defeated Sylvia by unanimous decision to become UFC Heavyweight Champion for a third time, a UFC record. 79 Couture's first punch, 8 seconds into the fight, sent the 6'8" in, 2.03 m, Sylvia to the mat. 80 He controlled the pace of the fight for 5 rounds, smothering Sylvia with strikes and numerous takedowns. All 3 judges scored the bout 50-45 for Couture. 81. At UFC 74 on August 25, 2007, Couture successfully defended the title against Brazilian Gabriel Gonzaga 82, defeating him via TKO by strikes. This fight earned him a Fight of the Night award. 83 Couture suffered a broken left arm when he blocked one of Gonzaga's kicks. 84 The kick cleanly split his ulna, requiring him to wear a splint for 6 weeks. Resignation and dispute with the UFC. On October 11, 2007, Couture announced he was severing all ties with the UFC, leaving 2 contracted fights, a position as an on-air analyst and the UFC Heavyweight Championship behind. He received $250,000, plus $936,000 of PPV revenue, for his comeback fight with Tim Sylvia. He received a $250,000 purse for defeating Gabriel Gonzaga, plus a $35,000 fight of the night bonus and $787,000 in PPV revenue. 83 He complained Chuck Liddell was allegedly paid more than he was, despite losing his previous 2 fights. 85 Couture cited the UFC's failure to sign number 1 ranked heavyweight fighter Fedor Emelianenko, as well as disputes with UFC management, for his decision. 86-87. Transition from fighter to coach. On October 18, 2007, UFC President Dana White said Couture remained the UFC heavyweight champion despite his plans to quit, and reiterated he would not release Couture from the final 2 fights on his contract. 88 Couture held a press conference on October 25, 2007, where he denied his departure from UFC was a retirement, set forth his grievances about his pay, and reiterated his belief that he would be free from any contractual obligations to the UFC after 9 months. 89. On October 30, 2007, White and Zuffa CEO Lorenzo Fertitta held another press conference, where White reiterated the UFC's position of 12 days prior 90 and released documents refuting Couture's claims about the pay he received. 91. They met again on Thanksgiving weekend to discuss a possible UFC return 92, but Couture said he had no desire to do so at the time. Cornering some of his fighters from Extreme Couture at HDNet Fights on December 15 in Dallas, Couture answered questions about Fedor Emelianenko, stating that he would like to fight him in October, once his UFC contract expired, if the UFC could not come to a co-promotion agreement with Russia's M1 Global beforehand. 93. On January 15, 2008, Zuffa filed a lawsuit in Clark County District Court in Nevada, citing breach of contract and irreparable damage. 94 Seeking over $10,000 in damages. This suit only concerned Couture's employment contract and not his promotional contract. On February 28, 2008, Judge Jennifer Togliatti handed down the first ruling in the case, issuing a preliminary injunction barring Couture from participating in an IFL event held the following day. 95. On August 2, 2008, a Texas appeals court granted Zuffa's request for a stay against a motion for a declaratory judgment in a suit filed by HDNet regarding Couture's contractual status with the UFC. The stay effectively ended the dispute in the state of Texas, and Zuffa was allowed to move forward with the Nevada suit. 96-97. Return to the UFC. On September 2, 2008, the UFC announced it had signed Couture to a new 3-fight contract. On November 15, he returned at UFC 91 in Las Vegas, Nevada, where he lost the UFC Heavyweight Championship to Brock Lesnar. 98 After a close first round, Lesnar knocked Couture down in the second round and struck him with hammer fists for a TKO victory at 307. 99 In a post-fight interview with Joe Rogan, Couture declared his desire to keep fighting and said he felt he was still becoming a better fighter, blaming the loss on his performance, not his age. On August 29, 2009, Couture faced former UFC interim heavyweight champion and former Pride heavyweight champion Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira at UFC 102 in Portland, Oregon 100 and lost by unanimous decision, 30-27, 30-27, and 29-28. After the bout, Couture stated he felt he was in the best shape of his life, and would wait and see what the UFC had in store for him. The fight received the Fight of the Night award. 101. Return to light heavyweight and retirement. After the Nogueira loss, Couture signed a new 6-fight deal, which superseded his previous contract. 102. On November 14, 2009, at UFC 105, Couture faced Brandon Vera. Vera landed effective strikes and scored a takedown, but Couture won a somewhat controversial unanimous decision. 103. The fight was his first at light heavyweight since losing to Chuck Liddell in 2006. 104-105. With the win, the 46-year-old Couture became the oldest fighter to win a UFC bout. At the Arnold Sports Festival for WEC 47 on March 6, 2010. Couture fought fellow UFC Hall of Famer Mark Coleman at UFC 109. 106. The bout marked the first time UFC Hall of Famers fought each other in the UFC. They were scheduled to meet at UFC 17 in 1998, but an injury to Couture forced the cancellation of the bout. 107. They wrestled each other in a freestyle match at the 1989 Olympic Festival at Oklahoma State University. Coleman won the match by 1 point. Couture modified his training for this bout, focusing on catch wrestling and refining his boxing under coach Gil Martinez. 108. The combined age of these fighters, 91, is the highest in any UFC match. 109-110. Couture made Coleman pass out to a rear naked choke submission in the second round, getting his first submission win in over 4 years. Couture was scheduled to fight Rich Franklin at UFC 115, but Franklin instead fought Chuck Liddell, replacing Liddell's original opponent, Tito Ortiz. Couture instead faced three-time boxing world champion James Toney at UFC 118. Couture dominated Toney, taking him down and mounting him within seconds, and quickly making him submit to an arm triangle choke. The match achieved notoriety, though it drew criticisms of being a freak show fight, among them by UFC President Dana White himself. 111. Many also felt that this fight had been made as an attempt to repair damage done to the credibility of MMA after Ray Mercer knocked out former UFC heavyweight champion Tim Sylvia. 112. Couture had stated he was interested in fighting either Lyoto Machida or Mauricio Rua, in a non-title bout. Since Rua had an upcoming title defense against John Jones, UFC matchmakers gave him Machida. They fought on April 30, 2011, at UFC 129, before 55,000 fans in Toronto. 113. Couture had stated before the bout it would be his final fight. Machida knocked him out in the second round with a jumping front kick. 114. After the fight, Couture announced he was finally done fighting, at the age of 47. 115. Bellator Fighting Championships. On January 29, 2013, Couture signed with Bellator to be a coach in the first season of their reality show, Fight Master, Bellator MMA, which debuted in June 2013. 116. Couture also did commentary for Bellator 96. Acting. Couture made a cameo appearance in the direct-to-video Steven Seagal film Today You Die and on the season finale of the CBS show The Unit, as a military guard. 117. He played fight commentator Terry Flynn in the film Red Belt. 118. He appeared on an episode of the History Channel show Human Weapon on September 27, 2007, and starred in the 2008 film The Scorpion King 2, Rise of a Warrior. 119. He played Toll Road in the 2010 movie The Expendables and reprised the role in the 2012, 2014 and 2023 sequels. He did several public service announcements, one against crystal meth. 120. He starred alongside 50 Cent and Bruce Willis in the 2011 film, Set Up, as an enforcer named